Medicinal plants constitute an important natural resources that is not only essential for the dynamics of our ecosystem and environment but also caters to a large number of industries which are associated with the preparation of various pharmaceuticals and medicine necessary for the treatment of both humans and animals. Several industries are dependent on medicinal plants that includes the pharmaceutical industry, the nutraceuticals and the functional food industries. And India, being a mega diverse country, is rich in a wide diversity of medicinal plants growing from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from Kutch to Kohima along the length and breadth of the country in various ecosystems spread across the diverse agroclimatic regions of South Asia. India represents the second largest supplier of medicinal plants to the world following China, and the demand has been growing ever since COVID, during which herbal medication became widely popular as a practitioner holistic form of medication around the world, along with Ayurvedic medication that has increased and revamped the sale of spices and medicinal aromatic plants, particularly for the Ayurveda and herbal medicinal industry, as well as for the modern allopathic medicinal industry in the form of pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, as well as functional food industry. The program has been increasing and India has been deriving significant share of the market and has the potential in becoming one of the largest producers in the world and even replacing China in various countries that are looking for active partnership and cooperation from the Indian government in steady supply of quality medicinal plants and herbs from India. Several pharmaceutical companies as well as Ayurvedic medicine companies have benefited greatly from the post-COVID surge of interest in Ayurveda and herbal medication, and the demand for Indian medicinal plants has been growing exponentially. However, it is quite important to understand that many of these important medicinal plants are not available for commercial production because we know very little about the commercial parameters necessary for making them successful in case of large-scale agronomic production across India. That includes various growth parameters, specific need for fertilizers, compost, various pesticides, both synthetic and natural, as well as various agroclimatic conditions necessary for making the plant production commercially viable as well as economically feasible in different states and union territories of India. There has been a lack of an investment in the research on medicinal plants and particularly on the commercialization or commercial production of medicinal plants. Only a handful of medicinal plants around the world are available for commercial production because we know next to nothing about the various agroclimatic parameters and various agrological parameters necessary for wide-scale commercial production of necessary medicinal plants. But with the increasing demand, thus pressure on Indian forest and other natural ecosystems for the steady supply of medicinal plants both within the country and abroad has been escalating. And without any control, regulation and proper monitoring and surveillance, in spite of various laws and rules passed by the legislature, it is not helping the conservation of the medicinal plants significantly across the country. Several species of medicinal plants which were so easily available even 20 years back are now showing an alarming sign of decline around the country, and they are becoming increasingly difficult to find. Several of the pharmaceutical as well as the Ayurvedic medicinal companies or companies which are dependent on medicinal plants for the pharmaceutical, nutraceutical and functional food needs are dependent on middlemen for collecting a large number of these medicinal plants in the form of leaves, stem, bark, tubers, culms, rhizomes or seeds and fruits or flowers from various natural resource areas such as the forests through marginal people who are suffering from abject poverty. Many of these rural remote rural communities, fringe forest dwellers or forest residents or tribal and rural communities living in close association of the forest are being recruited by the middlemen and also by other organizations to harvest these specimens for the industry from the natural resources. But as a consequences of increasing dependence on the forest resources and less availability of medicinal plants through commercial production, we are endangering the life cycle of many of these species, and several medicinal plants has been pushed towards extinction. People, for marginal farmers or marginal peasants working in and around the area who do not have job throughout the year, are being mostly recruited for this process, and those who live in close association for the forest are being recruited to collect these plants at a very alarming rate without any training or modern management, and hence they are harvesting the plants during the season, which are disrupting their normal seeding, fruiting and flowering cycle, and as a consequences, next generation of the plants are becoming difficult to find. Unless proper monitoring and surveillance is done and extensive research in the commercial production of important medicinal plants, medicinal and aromatic plants, spices and other related plants which are valuable for pharmaceutical, nutraceutical and functional food industries, both booming in India and abroad, we are posing medicinal plants towards a very serious threat in which we may be losing many species down the line from acquiring them for the purpose of commercial production or for the purpose of various industries that we are looking for. A strict mandatory process and protocol needs to be adopted by all the stakeholders in the process in harvesting medicinal plants from natural ecosystems and environment like the forest, and training needs to be provided to the people or who are involved in the collection of these medicinal plants, medicinal mushrooms and other important natural resources, so that they are not exploited or over harvested beyond the threshold limit or beyond the carrying capacity in a manner that it negatively impacts the dynamics of the population of these medicinal plants. Many of these medicinal plants are even available in and around our houses, growing as weeds along the railway tracks. Care needs to be taken to collect the seeds and start multiplying them in artificial gardens or multiplication center, where we could increase their population, return a section to their wild habitat and use the rest for commercial exploitation. Unless a balance is being drawn for the purpose of protection of the medicinal plants, it would be very difficult to prevent medicinal plants being plundered to beyond the point of recovery. It's quite alarming that this is happening around India and in other parts of Asia, Africa and Latin America that are rich in different species of medicinal plants, that they are not being properly monitored and surveillanced, and proper surveys are not being conducted within a regular interval, so that we do not have proper estimation of the population dynamics of various species that are showing alarming signs of decline. It will be important for all the stakeholders to come together on a common platform to work together, whether you are researchers, academics, industry workers, or ground level workers, procurers, or members of the industries associated with the pharmaceutical production, functional food, nutraceuticals, foresters, ecologists, and medicinal plant researchers. Unless they develop a protocol, unless they work together in significantly conserving this medicinal plant, both in situ and ex situ, we are running the risk of endangering the extinction of these plants at a very fast pace. While the industry is booming and the needs for medicinal plants is going to increase, unless the government of India pays extreme serious attention in commercial production of medicinal plants or in commercial exploitation of medicinal plants through sustainable agricultural production, our medicinal plants could be posed at a very serious alarming alert of becoming extinct in next 4 to 5 decades. Shrikot Kumar Basu, Bureau Report, Kalinga Chronicle TV.